Is that your are those your posters for your bodybuilding competition?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. I said, are they your poses for your bodybuilding show?
Did you hear the music too?
No.
Oh, you didn't hear the music. Damn it. I thought that would have set her off, mate. I was playing Ozzy Osbourne. I was playing Crazy Train.
No, no, I didn't hear.
I was playing Crazy Train in the background. You know that one, it goes, I, da-da, 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 I, da-da,
Probably do know it.
da-da.
Probably do know it.
Yeah, I was playing Crazy Train. Coming in hot today.
Ah,
I've,
you
I've just
whopper.
been, I've just been.
Whopper.
I knew you'd like that one. I knew you'd like Whopper.
The bag of milk. Who said that?
Someone called me. I've been reshared on so many stories,
Have
dude.
you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, yeah, reshared and
In a good way or in a bad way?
oh,
As
like mainly good. Don't get me
right.
wrong. Like, yeah, I've had so many people like reshare it and say, you know, this is
Which
uh,
one? Yesterday's one, or the video reel, or
no,
the
mainly
this
the
one?
statistics one, yeah. And but then other people share me, and this one bodybuilder. I was literally just about to sit down for food last night,
Hmm.
and I pulled up Instagram to a lovely story post where it was literally just paragraphs of abuse, basically saying I was leaner than him, and he was 12 weeks out or something like that. I'm leaner than him in the off season,
He's
and
leaner than you, or you're leaner than him?
no, he was leaner than me, critiquing my physique, and then finished the whole thing with gimp. You know,
Is this a
so
comment on the post?
no, this is on his story. This
Oh,
was.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
You shared your story and then went and then shared more stories with all this spiel.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I've had it all, mate. I'm like on top of the mountain. The bodybuilders are all climbing up the mountain for me. I have got a battle axe. No, in fact, I've got a battle axe on either side and I pull them out like this. Do you know
Yeah,
that? And
yeah,
they
yeah,
come in for me at 360 and
yeah.
I'm just like, fucking bash, bash, bash. It's like spinning around, like doing all sorts of shit, defending myself, you know?
I was going to say, I feel like being on this podcast with you today, I need to have a fire extinguisher beside me. 'Cause, like, you're just you're just setting off fires and throwing the bodybuilders in there, aren't you?
Oh mate, I said to my to a couple of people actually this. I've done it all, right? Like I've spoke about controversial things before, touchy subjects. You know me. I look like not everybody has to agree with me, right? Like if I'm wrong, I'm
Hmm.
wrong. I haven't got the time to like defend a position where I believe I'm wrong in, and people are open to disagree with me. Absolutely. But I am not one to shy away from sharing my opinion, especially if I think that it's going to affect a lot of people. And this, in my opinion, does, you know, and it obviously does because it's created this reaction. And as I said, I've never had a post to create this much, um, like just of a reaction. You know, I know I had like a month ago now the remix post I did, which we've had a laugh about with calling her my mum because
Yeah,
she's like
yeah.
people think it's my mum. That reached like 1 million views, right? But this one, it hasn't had the same reach, but the amount of interaction and engagement like in-house and now is starting to spread like to people outside of my following is nuts. Like you just to look at how dysfunctional the industry is, go to that post and click on my comment section
Hmm.
and read some of the comments that have
I
come
saw
through.
I saw them yesterday. Yeah, yesterday morning. I think when we were talking, I looked through some of them. Then, yeah, I could see it.
Maybe we can read some out in this one. That would be quite funny,
Yeah.
you know, and read some out and talk about it. But it's wild, isn't it? You know, it's wild. Yeah. What have I been called? Gay plenty of times. Gay's come up a lot, you know.
I saw
Um,
the one. What was it? Yeah, he called you gay and said you needed to get your testosterone levels checked. No, you were sounding gay and needed to get your testosterone
yeah,
levels checked, wasn't it?
yeah. I said, mate, I'll do that next week after I squat
I
my
did see.
225 kilos for 5 reps. That's the thing, though. You gotta be careful with it because, like, you can't spend all day in the comment section. I've told you this before. Like,
Yeah,
when are you gonna actually prove your point or get a message across that's actually gonna help someone in the comment section on Instagram or Facebook? It's like very rarely does it happen, you know. And
I did. Yeah, same. Last week was it last week? Well, the one I put up after the Wimbledon final.
oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
that, I think that's got like 900,000 views on it now, and it keeps just going up every day. And to begin with, I had a lot of people commenting on it, and then a couple of people were like, "This is dumb. Of course, they have both skill and athletic ability." And I said, "Oh," and so I replied to one guy. I said, "Yeah." I said, "If you read the post again, I didn't say they don't have skill. I said they have both."
right.
And um, and then he came back. He went, "Oh, you should check your grammar." And I was like, well, I can't be asked. What's the point?"
The difference is, like, say, not that we really ever do. I don't think we have. But say if, like, I don't know, I bring up a training concept or something like that, and
Mm,
you disagree with me or push back.
mm,
I'm gonna like listen. We can agree, disagree, but it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all good. Listen,
yeah.
like we people have different opinions, and we can still move on with the rest of our day, being
Mhm.
like normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
It's just being
these,
civil in your conversation, isn't it? And
yeah,
being
yeah,
listening to someone else's point of view.
and being respectful
Yeah.
and these people, especially the bodybuilding community, what I've recognized is that out of every category of niche part of fitness there is, these guys, I've never come across anything like it before. Talk about spiraling out of control,
Mm,
and by all means, like, and I want to start this one by reading a passage because I think it speaks to my point specifically, and I think it's not that long, it's only a couple of minutes, but it speaks to my point, and I think what we want to talk about in this podcast. Um, but they've like taken it completely out of context, and are just spiraling out of control with it, you know.
mm.
Um, should I read it now, and then we can get into like the podcast?
What is this now? Like a comment, you mean, or something? Who you refer?
It's a passage I've written from my book like months ago,
Oh, right. Okay.
and it kind of sums up my perspective. And I think it'd be really cool to open up the podcast with it
Hmm.
because for people listening, they might think, well, what the hell are we on about? And what is my point?
Yeah.
Who haven't seen social media, and it's obviously referring to a perspective and a post that I put up on social media, and basically what we wanted to delve into today, anyway.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So let me quickly let me just pull this up. I should have brought her up really before. Um, Here we go. Um, I'll cut this so I get straight into it. So look, and again, I'm going to read it, but it you don't have to agree with me. Okay, I want to make
Me.
not you, no,
Oh,
not you, but I'm talking to the hypothetical
okay. Yeah. Anyone?
person, listening
Yeah.
to
Sure.
this. Um, so here we go. Okay, so it's called "The Industry Lied to You." There is no such thing as long, lean muscles. There is only muscle. You cannot change its length, and you cannot tone it into something different. These terms are the product of clever marketing, not physiology. Unfortunately, the primary target of this marketing has been women, sold the lie that strength training will make them bulky or masculine. This narrative has driven countless women away from barbell training and into ineffective alternatives that yield little to no results. Strength training needs more women. This is such a vital message that it deserves its own segment. We need to change the perception of what strength training does, not just for men, but for everyone. The foundation of this system is the biological process of stress, recovery, and adaptation. We apply the stress through barbell training. Recovery and adaptation are your responsibility. This means eating enough food and getting adequate sleep. These are non negotiables. If you're under eating, under recovering, or chasing fat loss programs sold to you as a solution, you're working against the process. And this isn't just a problem for women, men fall into this same trap. When you commit to this process, everything gets stronger. Not just your muscles, your skin, tendons, ligaments, bones, and even your mindset adapts. We're applying fundamental biological principles to drive performance and resilience, progressively adding load, just 2.5 kilograms at a time. Over time, this compounds into real, lasting change. This process is for everyone, but not everyone is willing to do it because it's hard. But it starts by dismantling the stigma around women lifting weights. We don't need exercise variety, we need exercise consistency. You don't need to chase new exercises every week. You need to repeat the same basic movements until you're proficient and strong. If you can do that, even for a little while, you'll experience changes that no 6-week program or tone-in class has ever delivered. So why are so people hesitant to train this way? Coming into my point. One major reason is the distorted influence of bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is not a sport, it's a problem. It's warped the public's expectations of what a human body should look like and wrecked countless relationships with food. The result? Eating disorders, obsessive dieting, and an industry obsessed with shredded abs over functional strength. These warped ideals have trickled into general fitness marketing, convincing the average 43-year-old mum that her body is a lifelong project of flaws to be fixed, instead of something that can be strong. Am I saying that if you're a grown adult, you shouldn't do bodybuilding if it's your passion? No. You can do what you want, but systemically, bodybuilding creates far more problems than it solves. These problems include widespread body image issues, disordered eating and poor relationships with food, a warped definition of fitness pushed through social media, and a harmful influence of developing teenagers entering the sport. Even when done responsibly, bodybuilding encourages harmful behaviors. Why? Because it requires you to focus entirely on how you look. That's the problem. There's no version of bodybuilding that doesn't demand self-fixation. And for that reason, it can't be considered healthy. People will then respond by saying things like, well, it's benefited me by giving me structure, purpose, and discipline. It's even benefited my mental health. Yes, it might give some people purpose, routine, and discipline, but so can any other structured pursuit. The unique issue with bodybuilding, however, is that it can help you in one way whilst hurting you in another, specifically through self-fixation. And that's a trap a lot of people fall into. Again, if you're a grown adult and it's your passion, have at it. But understand that there's no way of doing this without the inevitable cost. And as for calling it a sport, there's nothing athletic about bodybuilding. Yes, it takes commitment. Yes, it's a demanding lifestyle, but that doesn't make it athletic. In fact, I'd argue it makes you less athletic. Cutting calories, dropping to extremely low levels of body fat, these things strip away the very attributes we associate with performance: strength, power, coordination, endurance, and speed. Bodybuilding displays your hard work, not your athletic ability. People say, well, it fits into the definition of a sport. It involves physical exertion and competition. Okay, but what are they doing on stage? Flexing, tensing, posing? That's not performance, that's presentation. If that's enough to qualify as a physical exertion, then the definition of sport needs an update. I think the definition of what qualifies as a sport is broken. It should be less about physical exertion and more about expression of athletic ability. To me, for something to qualify as a sport, it needs a competitive outcome with a demonstration of a physical quality, something athletic, like strength, speed, endurance, or skill, shown on the day, not just in the build-up, and measured against an objective standard. The physical exertion then is a byproduct of the athletic quality. Bodybuilding doesn't display any athletic qualities, it takes from it, and it's measured against a subjective standard. That's why, to me, it doesn't qualify as a sport and rather a show. And just last couple of sentences. By that logic, standing in front of a mirror with oil on your skin is now a sport. If that's where the bar is, it's far too low. So no, I don't see it as a sport. I see it as a problem. So it goes on a bit more beyond
Mm.
that, which obviously I'm not gonna get into because otherwise I'll be reading my entire book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think it lays out my point quite well, where
Mm.
I think that, look, bodybuilding started out as a very niche sport. It's its own beast, right? And its own animal. And people, they'll sign up to it. And great. If you want to do that, that's fine. My specific issue is that I think it's leaked into mainstream fitness. And we're seeing that through meal plans specifically. That at one point was just about bodybuilding.
Yeah.
The second one is photo shoots, mate. You
Mm.
know, like how many people do you see these days doing photo shoots? Am I saying that it's the same as an aggressive cut for bodybuilding and some of the extremes that they go to? Absolutely not.
No, but it's cut from the same cloth in terms of the objective, isn't it?
Exactly. It's cut from the same cloth and
Mm.
it's a diluted version.
Mm.
And to think that that doesn't come with a cost on how you look at yourself, I'm sorry, you're just kidding yourself. What's your thoughts anyway, mate? You've seen this unfold. So I've been ranting on there. What's your thoughts on the whole thing?
No, I mean, I fully agree, and that's not just because obviously, like you're my friend and everything. It's just like I do. Like I've said this before, and like someone may disagree, but yeah, I think it's a joke when bodybuilders refer to as athletes because like there's a
You're
reason.
in now. You're in with me.
We're never ever going. There's no possibility that we're ever going to see bodybuilding as an event in the Olympics, is there?
No.
Like, no. We'll see darts in the Olympics um, before we see bodybuilding because, like you said, there is no athletic pursuit behind it. There's like, yes, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are bodybuilders that like, well, there are. They could outlift me in the gym by a mile, but find me a bodybuilder who could like outsprint you, or they
Mm,
can, they just, you know, they're not going to be able to.
yeah.
Chances are they're not going to move well if you threw them into like a field-based sport. So I just don't think there's any kind of like athletic endeavor to it. And also, at the peak level of bodybuilding, which is where they are like, whether you want to say posing, performing, standing on stage, they are not going to be at their highest level of performance in
Right.
terms of physical output.
So do you think the definition of what qualifies, because that's my opinion with it. Now, after I've like looked into this more, obviously over the last couple of days, it's one of my mates actually, Joel. Do you know Joel? He's your cousin or something, and he Joel, who I'm good mates
My
with.
cousin,
Yeah, so through the family. Oh no, sorry, through the family, you know him or something like that. He does strength and conditioning. For rugby players.
don't know.
You know, you brought to you used to play for Ebervale rugby.
I think maybe I know his. I think I know his cousin. I think he might have a
Yeah,
cousin,
that's it. That's where
who
I'm
I used to
getting
play football
confused.
with at Crick.
Yeah, well, anyway, he
Yeah.
he left an interesting comment because if you look at the definition of what qualifies as a sport,
Mm,
it is physical exertion with a competitive date or competitive outcome.
mm,
So under that definition, you would look at it, but my whole thing with that is like, is any physical exertion actually displayed on the day? You're tensing, but like, I'm sorry, So that, to be honest, to that aside, without even getting into that, because there's going to be people listening to this and saying, "Well, yeah, bro, it's like, have you done go on stage yourself? Have you tried seeing how hard it is?" It's going to be
I
that
know I've
sort of
heard
thing.
people say that
Yeah.
tensing and posing is exhausting because obviously you're contracting your muscles and all
Yeah.
that.
So listen, without getting into that, because we can go back and forth on that.
Mm,
My perspective is um the definition needs to change for sport. Like if that qualifies as a sport, instead of looking at physical exertion, you should look at athletic ability,
mm,
right? Like athletic ability is what sports are judged on. And people will then say, well, darts, snooker, they're sports. Would you agree that they are? And I'd
Mm.
say yes, because they require a level of coordination and skill. Table tennis, for instance, a level of coordination and skill that bodybuilding doesn't.
Yeah.
And I would deem that as an athletic ability. And the physical exertion then is a byproduct of the athletic ability. And I've talked about this before, like, and people they don't like it, right? Because
Mm.
they see themselves as athletes. By definition, if you're an athlete, you are displaying an athletic quality that you're very good at. If you're a sprinter, that means you're running very, very quickly. If you're a strength athlete, that means you're producing a lot of force. Bodybuilding? What athletic ability are they displaying? They're taken away from their athletic ability, you know? So I think the definition of what qualifies someone to be an athlete, it is broken, and what qualifies as a sport maybe it is what's broken. Um, but yeah, it's wild, isn't it? It's
Mm.
wild, you
And I
know?
think you'll get someone there's probably some bodybuilder out there who is probably strong. They're probably able to run fast and they're probably able to move like pretty well. And they'll
Yeah.
be able to go, well, I'm a bodybuilder and I can do this. But it's like, yeah, you can do that in spite of your training, not because of. That's
Right, right. And I think the genetics play a huge part too. You know,
absolutely, yeah.
some people are just born with gifts. You
Mm,
know, like some people are born with intelligence. Some people are born with a perfectly symmetrical face,
mm,
or close to that. Some people are born just to be very good athletes, you
mm.
know, but that's got nothing to do with the sport. What I think might be cool, and see if you'd agree with this, if you want to go down this route, should I get into some of the comments and read them out, and then
Yeah,
we can
yeah, sure.
share our thoughts on it? That'd be pretty interesting, wouldn't it? So this is some of the, and they're still coming in right now as I speak. Just a new one actually. Um, this is a thing. Like, they're all very personal. You know, they're not actually. Some of them, to be fair, like are actually constructive and trying to get their point across, but a lot are personal.
It's
And
obviously it's the way it is, isn't it? It's like, look at it in any kind of argument, debate. If the person, you can that's the thing, you can have a debate with someone, a disagreement, and you'll always get the person who loses control, who feels that by starting shouting that they're taking control of the situation rather
right,
than
right,
remaining calm. And you can always see it. They get irate then because if you continue to just talk to them normally, they're literally you're boiling their piss because they're like they want to shout more. And it's the same with like you see it with football fans, to be honest. It's like you obviously see the arseholes who like if things aren't going right on the pitch, then the fans of that team will start to make up like vulgar derogatory chants about something that has happened badly to the opposing team in the past.
right.
You've seen it. United and Liverpool fans have done it to each other in the past and things. And it's just like, yeah, you're not winning on the pitch, so you want to make a more personal attack to hit the person.
Absolutely.
And I think it comes across the same way with people in comment sections on social media. Or, if they're disagreeing with my personal bias, then I'm going to attack them personally.
Right, right, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and especially I think with the posts that I put up, it is very kind of like the statistics are there. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you can't argue with them, and I think that almost gets people even more riled up. You
Mm.
know? But yeah, that's so true, mate. That is so true.
Well, I saw
Um,
one comment on your thing. You maybe the ones you read out, and I think it was a woman on there saying she was happy to train arms with you because she was happy having bigger arms. It's like,
like firstly, I promise you, not that it matters. I promise you, you don't have bigger arms than me. I promise you. And if you want to train arms, bro, listen, I've been training arms for 6 years straight with my dad in the valleys. Right? I can go there. I can go there, love. You know? But yeah, anyway, it's just ridiculous. There's one on to be fit. So this one, and look, I'm not going to name any names because there's no point. I
hmm,
just think it's good content for people. Hopefully, it shows a slightly other perspective arguing against what I just said.
yeah.
So let's go with this one. Let's agree to disagree here. Bodybuilding is far much more than what you see of an athlete in prep. The off season is arguably more important. While I agree that there are people that do use the sport as a cover for an eating disorder and attempt to stay stage lean year round, a lot of athletes do look down on this and respect the improvement process during the off season. It actually helped me with my fear of weight gain after I lost 90 pounds. Now, I didn't mind the scale going up in the off season because that's where the real growth and hypertrophy occurs. Bodybuilding isn't for everyone. I don't recommend it for people that have a poor relationship with food, but it shouldn't be looked down upon as a legit sport. I love the structure it gives me. It scratches an itch in my autistic brain that craves routine, and it's done so much to improve my mental health. Also, I've managed to work up to maintaining on 3,000 calories a day, which is insane for my height and weight. With all that being said, I respect the data you've cited, but the summary is very extreme and is quite dismissive of the sport as a whole. So, on the face of it, to be honest, I read Dan, I thought that's a pretty articulate response. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? And there's some points in there that absolutely make sense. And again, I think this is where people are getting confused. I'm not personally attacking them, right?
Yep.
And I'm not personally attacking the sport. Before I get into my thoughts around that, which I responded to her, and then she basically said along the line, stay in your lane, which is something that people say when they don't like what you've said.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
your thoughts on that response?
Um, I mean, like, yeah, I get so like, there's no that you can't argue with the fact that someone, um, in some respects, may be improving. They may be getting some things from it,
Yeah,
from the pursuit of bodybuilding. They're like, you know, they're physically active. They're resistance training, so they are building muscle tissue, which is obviously going to benefit them from a longevity standpoint.
yeah,
Potentially depending on how they're doing things, they may be eating a more nutrient dense diet to some degree. Again, you can get bodybuilders who follow more of an if it fits your macros protocol, and no, I wouldn't say that's necessarily health seeking. But I don't think, you know, there comes with it like cutting yourself down to extreme levels, extreme low levels of body fat. I don't think that is a healthy pursuit,
mm,
either physically or psychologically. Physically, because yeah, you can talk about the hormone decrease and like how testosterone levels or estrogen levels for female will rise back up over time. But there was a study, this is a number of years ago when I was doing MNU, that showed that male bodybuilders, after a show, cutting to like extreme level of leanness, testosterone levels didn't rise back up to where they should be for like, a long period of time, even
mm,
after they regained weight. And you need to regain weight to kind of regain your health.
right.
Um, and I think also then psychologically, the issues that come with that are that if you get to whatever level of leanness, you will always have a warped view in your head that you're not lean. Even
Mm,
I saw a post the other day, a guy who was training more like athletic population, sports performance, and he was talking about how he'd regained some body fat over the past 5 weeks after his summer cut, and he's pinching his body fat and going, "Yeah, I've regained fat." And it's like you have a full visible six pack, yet you're saying that you've gained substantial fat. Well, you may have
right.
gained some fat, but that's the problem. It creates such a warped view that you'll never feel again like some people have commented being in shape unless you are at that very, very unsustainable level of leanness.
Well, I'll get into that one because that one was crazy. And he
Yeah.
basically proved my exact point. I was like, I woke up and read it and I was like, this is wild. Like he's literally proved my point without knowing it, you know? But
But
anyway, yeah, 100%. What's that?
But yeah, so there are some benefits to it, and then the other one I think is yeah, it does help you develop a level of discipline because obviously there's no doubt about it. To to do the commitment, the training, which is probably like 4 or 5 times a week, hitting their steps or doing their cardio and sustaining, a calorie deficit over a sustained period of time. Yeah, it's admirable for the dedication and the discipline, but yeah, it's not athletic.
James ain't having that. He's not
I
athletic.
mean, come on,
Yeah, it's
be
not.
like, you know, are you telling me like, Ronnie Coleman or some, I don't know, whatever, I'm not into bodybuilding, some guy who's won the Olympia, like can compete you could compare him from an athletic standpoint to Usain Bolt or Cristiano Ronaldo or LeBron James? No.
It's insane, isn't it? It's insane. Yeah, and by the way, you that was brilliant, mate, because it's important to steelman that perspective, right? Because we are not saying don't do bodybuilding, right? Absolutely not. That is not. Look, if you're passionate about it,
Mm.
do. Who am I to tell you what to do? Do you know what I mean? My perspective is completely different to that. I'm not about telling other people what to do. Um, for a variety of reasons. You know, what you mentioned there is that yes, there are things that can derive from bodybuilding that can be positives, and we're not denying that. The issue is there's two issues. One, you can have all of those things without bodybuilding. Firstly, you don't have to do bodybuilding. And by the way, I'm not saying it to you, I'm saying it to that comment.
Yeah.
You can have all of those things without bodybuilding. And secondly, in terms of where was I going to go? So yeah, you can have all those things about body. Oh, that's it. Yeah, you can have something can help you in one way, right? Absolutely, it can, but it can also damage you in another without you actually knowing. So you can simultaneously have something that benefits your life, but also simultaneously creates these unhealthy behaviors. And there is no free pass, right? Like that is going to happen at some point. And they'll say, oh, in the off season, that's the point of a good prep, right? And when we come into the off season, we make sure that we're doing it in a responsible way. Even done in a responsible way, you are still checking yourself, right? There was a comment that I had on there from someone who said, "Yeah, I do obsess about my body fat. I do obsess about all these other things, right, relating to health." And I responded, "Well, I don't think obsessing about your body fat or fixating on your body fat year round is healthy in any regard. You know, that isn't me saying that body fat isn't important as a health marker, right, or a predictor of health outcomes. Of course it is, but obsessing about your body fat percentage all the time,
Mm.
that isn't good for you." You know,
Yeah.
it's bound to self fixation on yourself all the time. If that's baked into your sport, there's no running away from that because it is the outcome of the sport. I don't know. Does that make sense, mate?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
rambling there?
Yeah.
You know. Shall we get into the other one that you brought up about the in shape comment? Because that was pretty neat. Um, so there was another one that came from a bodybuilding coach, and this really just proved the entire post, right, about how distorted a lot of these perspectives are. There's so many on here. I'm just scrolling through now. Here we go. This only applies to people that take bodybuilding extremely, and that also applies with anything you do to the extreme. Well, firstly, the differences with other sports is that the sole objective isn't about how you look, right? So, yes, you can go to the extreme in other sports, absolutely.
Also, look at yeah, any sport, be it
Yeah,
Iron Man, CrossFit competitors. They're going to extreme levels, aren't they, to compete?
yeah,
Pretty much any sport, but yeah, not in the pursuit of greater symmetry, leanness, gyration in your glutes.
yeah, exactly. So that's the first issue, right? Also, respectfully. When something starts with respectfully, you know it's not intended to be delivered with
Yeah,
respect.
to a,
That's a proper like dominant stance in it. It's like I'm the alpha male here. I'm taking control. I am telling you that I'm being respectful when I
yeah,
say
so
this.
just like just it's just like yeah, forwarding your sentence with no offense, but
Yeah. Hey, but respectfully might be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb going off in a paragraph, you
mm,
know? But respectfully, if you were in great shape, there it is, dude. There it is, dude. Hey, there we go. That's the bomb impacting on the floor. Is there more a passive aggressive comment from a bodybuilding coach than also respectfully
yeah,
if you were in great shape? You know, it's just cutting through. Um, I'm so stupid. Um, then you have a more compelling argument. So there's two problems there. One, he's judging my opinion based on the fact that I don't have rippling abs, which is problematic, right?
yeah,
And two, he's saying, he's saying, oh, dude, this fucking. Hey, I'm feeling limber today. Don't come too near me.
yeah,
Don't come too near me because I'm keeping these elbows tucked,
mm,
right? You're not going to be able to get any underhooks on me today, okay? I'm keeping nice and tight. That's all I'm saying, okay? He's saying that I'm not in great shape,
yeah,
right? Now, James, that is, that's a problem, yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'll carry on. Um, I also think it's where you need to discover why so many people are doing bodybuilding because now they want to look good and how you can understand that process better instead of grabbing some cherry picked stats.
mm,
So, I obviously did a big video on that comment. It's like 5 minutes long, so without going back into it, people can check that out for themselves. I thought it was pretty good, if I
yeah,
say so myself. I think it got my point across. But the point being was that, I have been to low levels of body fat for me, right? And I pointed out that genetically, there are people out there that are freaks, right? Like I think of people like Anthony Joshua, for instance, Francis Ngannou. I don't know if you've seen Francis Ngannou before.
yeah,
Just an absolute tank of a man.
mm.
Just jacked, right? Doesn't lift hardly, just jacked. There are those people out there, right, walking around. But if
Efficient
you're
in
not,
myostatin gene, so
what's that?
efficient in myostatin, so you'll yeah, your body just builds not like unproportionate amounts of muscle mass, you know?
Right, it's like those Belgian blue bulls, isn't it?
Yeah,
But yeah, so unless you're that person, it's like, uh, sorry, mate. Like even for them though, if you relative to your genetic ability,
mm,
if you get to very, very low levels of body fat, there is no healthy way of doing that. There's a reason we have fat on our bodies. It's there for a specific purpose. I was dieting down to very low levels of body fat relative to me when we met, actually. You saw me back then. Um, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't because I didn't do it properly. At the end of the day, a calorie deficit is a calorie deficit. I just did it for a long time. I went into the cut. Um, I had a body composition based goal. And it wasn't healthy by any means. And I couldn't perform at my best because I was depleting my body's ability to perform by not giving it nutrients. Um, I had problems hormonally, with like sex drive and libido and all of that sort of stuff. Um, and to say that that would be better shape, in his opinion, probably not great shape because this guy, he's like top of the top, you know. So for him, great shape probably wouldn't have met his standards.
yeah.
But it'd probably been better shape than I'm in now. For that to
Variation
be,
glutes, don't you?
that's it, mate. So for that to be better shape than where I am now, where I can squat 225 for five on a Tuesday, You know,
Mm.
I can like do 10 rounds on the back, no problem. Put me in a room sparring uh, that guy, I mean, in me, from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, wherever it was. That old me
Yeah.
ain't leaving the room, dude. So, what do we define as better ability, like better shape? If that's the definition of good shape, it's all broken, isn't it? You know, and
Yeah.
it proves the point. You know. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that comment?
Yeah, I mean, no, obviously, again, not just being biased with you, but I agree with you on it because it's like we should define physical ability is the main thing, isn't it? Like that's
Yeah.
going to determine our quality of life, as throughout, like your ability to do things that you enjoy. It's like that's why, like, I can't remember how many times I've been asked in the past, "Oh my God, no, aren't you sick of don't you want more muscle mass? Don't you want to be bigger? Wouldn't don't you want you're so
Mm,
skinny and all this and don't you want bigger arms?" And I'm like every time I'm like, no, like my body does like exactly what I want to do. Like I'm nearly 41. I can sprint like reasonably fast. Um, you know, I'm relatively strong. I can go and freaking swim in the ocean. If you ask me to go and swim a mile in the ocean, I can go and do that comfortably. I can go climbing. I can do whatever I physically want with my body, which I wouldn't get if all I cared about was staying as super lean as possible. Well,
mm.
I've been relatively lean for me. I can absolutely tell you I had no level of performance then. So yeah, like it's just like no comparison.
Right, right. And what would your thoughts be then? Because this was really my point. Like, we've kind of gone in on bodybuilding a bit there, right? And some of the inherent dangers of it. My point, actually, overall, and what I read at the start, was that I think it's leaked into mainstream fitness. And I think that it's rubbed off these like terminologies, behaviors, concepts on, this is just my theory, on
Mm.
social media influencers who are posing with their, like just their whole page is just them, tops off, right? There's nothing
Yeah,
obviously wrong in having your top off and taking a picture. I've done it, you've done
yeah,
it.
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's normal, right? But the difference is that that's their entire page,
Mm.
and they're marketing their apps, right?
Whole identity is wrapped up in what you look like, not what you can do.
Yes, yes. So that's my point, right? Is you get these people that jump on social media, probably from a poolside somewhere in Marbella,
Mm.
telling people that squats and deadlifts make them fat somehow, and they're saying, like this, buy my program, or whatever it might be, attaching a meal plan that they copy and paste to all of their other clients. They got about 200 clients, mate, and that that is a diluted version
Mm.
of bodybuilding. And I have firsthand, being a coach, and you're probably the same, seen the repercussions of that over the past decade,
Mm.
since social media has had an uprising. I remember a dude who had a meal plan, right? I wasn't working with him, and I'm not going to name any names. I've just seen it. And because he basically consumed all of this marketing nonsense about how he should look and all this, that, and the other, I remember, mate, he at one point wanted to track his chewing gum.
Oh fuck. Yeah, yeah.
Honestly,
Mm.
right? This is one example of many examples that I have seen of people facing the repercussions of this stuff.
Mm.
And the problem is that they're not holding their hand up like bodybuilders to get into a sport like bodybuilding. It's somewhere in between, right? The lines are blurry. It's a diluted version. They get marketed to. They're having their insecurities getting played on. Um, and taking advantage of that, because let's be honest, a lot of people, it is a sore spot for them when you start talking about how you look, because we all care about how we look. It doesn't matter who you are. So they emotionally manipulated, a lot of these people, and then they sold into this world which comes with these big repercussions, you
Mm.
know um I'll be honest, mate. I don't like those photo shoots that are getting pushed at the moment. I think obviously there are pros to it for sure, again, but I do think there's bound to be some baggage that comes with that. I know that might be controversial, but I think it is a diluted version of what you see in bodybuilding. Um, I can see the pros, but I can also see the cons, and that's the part that I'm specifically talking about. Have you noticed any stuff like this before?
Yeah,
Obviously, you've been in
100%.
this industry longer than
Uh,
me.
yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen 100% with the whole photo shoot thing. I don't get it. Personally, because obviously, yeah, my own personal bias, I'd have no interest in doing that, like
No.
zero interest. I just think, yeah, I don't get it. It's like, what, you're taking these, you're gonna, make your life pretty miserable for what, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, however long you want to do, depending on your starting point, to get some photos taken. What are you going to do? Show the grandkids in 20, 30 years' time, look, this is when your granddad had ripped abs. It's like, it's far, I'm not being funny, but it's far more of a flex to be like, oh, look what I can do physically, and I'm like 70, 80 years of age
Right.
versus, oh, look at me when I was like in my 20s or 30s, how ripped I was.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so that's my one point. And I also think that with the whole photo shoot thing is like a client comes in and maybe they're like, they're overweight, whatever it be, they're not confident in their body, both physically and like and the appearance. So they obviously want to improve their body composition. There is nothing wrong with that. But then a coach comes in and goes, oh, well, yes, let's put you on a 5 day split body routine and I want you to prep your meals and do this and this. And yeah, they're improving their health because they're lowering their body fat and they're building their muscle mass, don't get me wrong. But it's like where do you, and then oh I know you're really bought into this now and you're looking good, let's get you into a photo shoot. But where do you go after the photo shoot? Like what
Right.
is pursue? Like you're obviously your business name, pursue performance. Like what is there to pursue after the photo shoot? When you've got to your leanest, what do you do? Go away and you're speaking about, oh, for your next photo shoot, let's bring a better package. So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna what you're gonna take an everyday normal, let's say, parent who has a demanding job, maybe a family life that's demanding, and you're going to tell them to like, yeah, let's go on a 6 month like massing phase, and then we'll cut again for your photo shoot next year, where you're going to look better. I mean, like, what are you chasing there with that?
Right. Right.
And just in my opinion, how like I don't know, there should like be a higher purpose than vanity at the end of
Mm,
it.
mm. I entirely agree. And I think if you are going to have a bit more of a body composition goal, that should be paired up alongside a performance-based goal. I
Mm.
don't think in any context it is healthy for you to just solely fixate on yourself.
No.
I think in my opinion, this is why that I approach it here with my guys. How you look is a byproduct of how you perform.
Mm.
That's I personally think I've seen it over and over and over again when people just focus on themselves. If that's what you want to do, that's great. That's fine, of course. And I do want to get into when I would cut weight with someone because I would, right? I'm not just anti weight cutting, right?
And
I'm not
body,
saying
like
that.
body composition is a huge thing, like in any
Yeah,
sport,
yeah, yeah,
but it obviously needs to be done the right way and be seen that that's not the top tier thing in sport. Like improving your body composition can improve your performance,
yeah.
but it should be a process of A to B, not the main
Right.
focus.
It should be an adjunct alongside it, shouldn't it? Yeah. I and so like because this guy then he went on to say like bodybuilding is the same as body composition. And I'm like, man, this is wild. Like, it is not the same as a general body composition goal. It lies in the extremities of the two. One, you're just generally trying to lose a little bit of weight to benefit your health, maybe to move better, to even benefit your performance in a sport, right? The other one, you're weighing grains of rice and checking how big your delts are in the mirror every night before you go to sleep.
And
I'm
talking about
sorry.
yeah, talk
What's
about
that?
being fluffy when you've not got like abs going through your veins going through your abs. You're a bit fluffy.
Well,
It's
I'm
like,
extra fluffy, mate. I'm a
yeah, but
whopper.
I mean, you think about that, like people, someone saying they're fluffy when they've still got full visible six pack. And yes, obviously genetics come into where you store more body fat and things, but that just shows you how warped like, your personal view can be of your own body.
Right, right, right. Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
negative for people looking onto it as well because like someone who has a client base where they work with someone like they work with individuals who are coming to them for fat loss and things like that, and then they're posting up images of themselves in the like so-called off season or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I was fluffy here, I'm gonna bring another package next
Sorry,
week.
mate. It's just funny.
It's like, think of what your clients are looking at that. Your client who is they're not into training, they're not into fitness, they're just looking to lose a few pounds just to fit their clothes better and just feel a bit better about
Right.
themselves. And you're making these views and these comments on your own physique and saying that you're out of shape or that you like what do they must be thinking, geez, what does my trainer or my coach think of me then if he's judging his own physique like that,
Oh,
so that's
100%, 100%, mate. I do want to get, so that is a real important distinction, right? Like, is people saying in there is it's the same, and it's really not. Like, my criteria for weight cutting, because I've thought about this a lot, because I do think, and again, I do have my own personal experience to go off with this. I've seen how it can damage people and it can benefit people, but you have to you talk about this a lot. It's a credit to you, mate, about what you do after the diet, and also as well how to handle these situations with sensitivity,
mm,
because they can leave a mark on people, that sometimes is irreversible. And so, my criteria, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, is that firstly, if you're an adult, right, I think that's a big one. Um, I'm personally against kids cutting a lot of weight, especially through those earlier years of development. I think it affects both psychological and physical well-being. I also think that even if a child, say, is overweight, I think you've got to handle that with a different approach. I think, first of all, giving that person a bit more confidence, giving them a bit more of a skill, giving them something to take the attention off themselves and to teach them how to barbell train, teach them how to lift, or what you do,
mm,
showing them something that isn't constantly about how they look, because they're always with themselves. They're constantly fixating on themselves. If
yeah,
you ask any overweight child, right, or teenager even, which gets even worse, right, through puberty, if
mm,
they're like not for 1 minute of the day thinking about their weight, they'll all say that they are. It's always on their mind in some capacity. So then you come in and say, oh, by the way, now we're just going to go into this deficit. And I personally would have a different approach to that. I'd start them lifting, build confidence in the gym, start building a healthy relationship with the gym, and building strength. And then when they're old enough, laying on some healthy, by the way, introducing healthy nutrition habits,
yeah,
teaching them principles. Absolutely. They start building a bit more muscle. They start learning a skill. They start altering just with that alone, their body composition. And then when they're an adult, right now, let's start peeling back a little bit and maybe start introducing some more specific calorie goals. So that's the first thing. Like, I don't do weight cutting with kids. I just
mhm,
don't. That might be controversial again, but that's just my perspective. Um, then, if you're an adult, right, I do it on a couple of different criteria. One, if you have to do it for your sport, right? Like, there is no way of getting around it. If you're in a sport where it requires a weight cut, you need to do the weight cut, right? Like, it is what it is. It's very black and white. The second one is that if it's going to improve your health and as a byproduct of that performance, like there are people like that, right? They want to get stronger, but because they are very overweight, it affects their ability to move and it also affects their health. So of course, for that person, lowering your body fat is going to be a net positive. Of course it is. But then again, you've got to treat it with sensitivity. So those are my two criteria of when I would cut weight with someone. And there is a stark difference because I don't want people to get confused. Like, we're not anti weight loss, you
Not at
know?
all. At
Like,
all.
but I think people will listen to this. Well, not people, bodybuilders will like to misconstrue our message.
I've helped tons of clients with fat loss literally come to
Yeah,
me for fat loss, and like that's a
yeah,
big part of like what I'll sell. But yeah,
yes.
done in the right way. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So how would you approach it then after listening to that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if are you talking now from with an adult or
Yeah, so with an I suppose an adult and explain the difference, I suppose, because like for instance, speak to this guy, right? Pretend this guy's listening. He's probably not. Oh, he might be now. Um, he legitimately doesn't think there's a difference between weight loss, body composition, and bodybuilding.
Hmm.
So, what is the difference between the two?
The objective at the end of it?
Right.
So I've worked with lots of clients, who've come and with the goal of purely fat loss, um, with no intention of ever stripping down for a photo shoot, certainly not ever standing on a stage, um, literally just wanting to fit their clothes better, have more energy day to day, and feel more self-confident when they are in a position when they may be in their swimming shorts on a holiday,
Mm,
have their shirt off in public. So with that comes general nutrition advice to improve their nutrition, be more health seeking. So I will never put someone just on a straight up calorie deficit and be like, yep, fill the calories in with whatever you want, whey protein, and fill the rest in with whatever you want. Like there should always be some like health seeking element to it. So following the process of a nutrient dense diet where possible, and then trying to make someone fall in love with the process of training, exercising, wherever it be, you know, whatever their goal is. Like if they want to squat or deadlift their body weight, if they want to do something like I do and do whatever it be, muscle ups on the gymnastic rings or improve your sprint speed,
mm,
whatever it be, go and be able to win the parents' race at the next sports day, get back into playing football or rugby, something beyond just focusing on the body fat percentage, or because like we haven't touched on that, but like that brings up a whole other world of problems when you start getting into the nitty gritty of measuring your body fat percentage, because then all of a sudden all you're doing is training and nutrition is just geared towards, all right, seeing the number change on, the tangible, printout you get from the machine or the skin
mm.
alpha reading.
And
Uh,
that's again, sorry to interrupt, but another unhealthy trait
yeah, yeah.
coming from bodybuilding, right?
So yeah, whenever I've had people come in before, and I've had people say to me, I don't give a shit what I can do. I just want to look better in my clothes, want to look better on holiday, whatever it be. I'm like, that's fine, but I was like, is there something that kind of just floats your boat a little bit? Like, would you like to be able to just like be able to perform a chin up, be able to do this? And they're like, I kind of wouldn't mind. And then all of a sudden, then when they start to see some progress, they're like, oh, actually, this is really cool that I can do this.
Mm,
I've
mm.
seen it before, and I'm sure you have tons of times the same. So yeah, that's just kind of my approach to it. And I just also think like nutrition education, learning how to like gain control and be, you understand how to eat for good health, but also eat if you need to gain or lose weight. And when you do
Right.
that, it just creates so much freedom, because so many people are just locked in with this fear of ever gaining weight. And it's like if you realize like how easy it is to that you're so in control of it. You'll never fear going on holidays and you know taking your foot off the gas and just enjoying yourself, or at Christmas time, or going out with friends. And you're never going to be like, oh my God, I didn't hit my steps today and I went
Mm,
over 1,000 calories on my diet. Who cares? You're in
mm.
control. Like the world isn't going to end because like
Right.
you've got a bit more body fat on your abs. So
Right. And that's a very important part of the podcast because we want to make it very, very clear to people that that is not our intent at all. Like, if
mm,
you want to cut some weight and it's reasonable, then that's fine. And there's a
yeah,
plenty of benefits to that for some people. We're against bodybuilding culture and how that's leaked into mainstream fitness. You know, And so, yeah, I think it's amazing. And the last thing I wanted to cover, so I realize it's been a good episode, this, mate. It's been going on for an hour now.
Right.
But well, there's a lot to talk about with it, innit? It's just so many different directions you can go off on. Is kids, I say kids, teenagers getting into bodybuilding. I mean, that's like a whole other thing, I mean, look, this might be controversial. Again, I think I'm too deep in now, so I've like at this point, I'm just going to straight up say it. I think if you're putting your child into bodybuilding, that is child abuse. I really do. I think it is such an extreme thing to put your cut child through the requirements that it takes to get on stage as a 16-year-old. I personally think that way. And I've yet to hear a logical argument as to why that isn't. If you understand basic physiology, especially through those years of as a child or teenager developing, and you're taking away vital resource during that period, I'm sorry if that hurts feelings, but I think it's child abuse. I
Yeah.
really, you know,
Sorry,
no,
not to cut you, but look at gymnastics. Like that sport in itself has a ton of eating disorders because of the immense pressure of competing in that and staying at such a like light, lean body weight.
mm.
And that, yeah, it's created tons of issues, and coaches like you know being so forceful in what like teenagers are eating and things like that.
I'd throw, by the way, because people are going to say, "What about those sports?" I'm throwing them in too. I
Yeah.
think if you're doing those sports and your coach is asking you to cut 10 pounds of body weight when you don't need to, that is child abuse, and you need to find another coach.
Mm.
Like that's my opinion. I do not believe in the slightest in cutting body weight as a child. It's just wrong. And you're right, like gymnastics, a perfect example. How many of those guys and girls are left with all sorts of problems in
Mm.
their later years, you know? And there's tons of other sports, fighting sports,
Yeah,
another
yeah,
one,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
know? Like, stay at your body weight. There is
Mm.
no need for you to be cutting weight. You are only doing harm that, in some cases, is really hard to come back from, if ever can come back from, so, mate, I think we well,
Just to point out, that's not to say if a child is genuinely overweight, but then that, in my opinion, comes down to, and you could go down a whole rabbit hole with this, but the need for like education on nutrition in school
right,
should be a
right,
thing, should be a
right.
subject.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Learning how to essentially feed yourself in a nutrient dense way to get
Yes,
a healthy body weight.
I think you're right, mate. I think that has to be a part of the curriculum, but it's not being covered, is it? Having people like you come in,
Mm.
talk to kids about it. And as I said, it's about, earlier about approaching that in the right way, even with overweight kids. I think you have to be very, very careful with that. And it does start with education,
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I think, mate, this might top it. I thought the Pilates one, but I think this might come first. Anything we've covered that you want to cover?
No, not at all. No, no. Um,
Jim's like, get me out of here. I
yeah, I'm
need to
just
go into hiding.
ready with the fire extinguisher for the fuck. I think to be fair now, it's a bonfire now. You've just poured like petrol on it, and it's uncontrollable now.
Well, we've talked about it for an hour now, so I
Yeah,
think our thoughts are very, very clear. Notice I keep saying hour because I'm bringing you down with the ship,
I know. I'm waiting for someone to attack me and tell me I'm too skinny, or my arms are, I want bigger arms, and if so, yeah, yeah.
What's that?
I
What are you
said
gonna-
I'm waiting for someone to come in on this and then maybe click on my profile and say, oh, the guy should has no view. If he was bigger or had more muscle mass, then blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
Well, I'm getting bag of milk, mate. So I
Lack
don't
of
think,
milk, yeah.
yeah, bag of milk, Whopper.
Mm.
Um, Whopper was pretty funny. It's like calling someone Jumbo, you know? So, so insulting, you know? Anyway, dude. Oh my God. It's good I don't take myself too seriously though, isn't it?
Uh,
Because Like if that was the wrong person, you
Yeah.
could really, really mess with their
Oh
head.
yeah, you'd go
You
into
know?
hiding when you delete your account, go into hiding.
Yeah. But
Mm.
anyway. Right, mate, do you want to see us out?
Yeah. If you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on Spotify and iTunes, leave us a review, and we'll catch you in the next episode.